Sheila, can you hear us?
No.
All right, now can you hear us, Sheila?
Yes, I can.
All right. The time is 7 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. May we have roll call, please?
Mayor Reichel,
Here.
Pro Tem Hanrahan, Trustee Britnall,
Here.
Trustee Klassen,
Here.
Trustee Flores, Trustee Poston,
Here.
Trustee Seifert.
Here.
All right, may we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, be seated. All right, the first item on tonight's agenda is public comments. Persons desiring to make a public comment on items not on the agenda, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to non-agenda items?
No, I did not hear from anyone today.
Okay,
I do not show any raised hands.
thank you.
And we have one signed in with us this evening,
Okay.
Michelle Williams.
All right, Michelle, would you like to come up to the table?
Sure.
All right.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Williams, this is Brandy Smythe. We're here from Coleridge Booster Club, and I believe that we are on the consent agenda tonight, is that correct?
Not on the consent agenda, but
Oh,
later
okay.
on during staff report, I'll
Okay.
talk a little bit more
We're in there
about-
somewhere.
Yes,
I've
you are.
communicated with Jeff.
And,
Okay.
and you're here now too, so.
Thank you so much. So we have new concession stands out by our football field that were just completed. In trying to get some more space out there for people to sit and chat and eat, we've decided to put a big concrete platform out there. We're calling it Titan Court, and we're asking for donors to, is it a 3x3?
9 by 9 is what the,
Yeah, the whole thing is a 9, is that it?
I think the squares are, yeah, each of the squares.
Okay.
concrete squares.
So we're
yeah.
asking for donations for those squares, and then there would be a plaque in the center of that square saying who donated. So we're asking the town of Silt and the town of Newcastle for a donation for that. It'd be great to see the towns represented there where our students are from. So that's what we're asking for this evening, $1,000
And-
for a
and
concrete square.
I'm sure you've seen it already, but back in the back of the board packet with the staff report, I included it there. And we can talk about it then as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
So I think you called it a pavilion in that, or somewhere I think I read that it's.
It is, so like the whole
Pavilion.
area in front is gravel right now, and what we wanna do is just make it more friendly for like wheelchair accessible, like so people can stand in line, so we can have some picnic tables for gathering spaces too, so that's the goal.
Just make it more welcoming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we have some budget in our discretionary spending, so we'll discuss it here at the end of the, during during staff comments. And we'll give the staff some
Super.
direction, so.
Okay, well,
Okay.
thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else signed in for public comments?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda, which contains the minutes of the January 22nd, 2024 Board of Trustees meeting. Item number 2 is the renewal of the Columbine Liquor retail liquor license.
I should say.
Number 3, the resolution number 8, Series 2024, a resolution appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of amounts budgeted for the town of Silt, Colorado for the 2023 budget year. Item 4 is resolution number 9, Series 2024, a resolution supporting the grant application for a Garfield County Federal Mineral Lease District grant in the amount of $25,000 for a total project cost of $60,000 in order to offset the cost associated with the purchasing and installation of windows and doors for Town Hall for the town of Silt, Garfield County, state of Colorado. And item number 5 is resolution number 10, series 2024, a resolution supporting the grant application for a Garfield County Federal Mineral Lease District grant in the amount of $315,000 for a total project cost of $450,000 in order to offset the costs associated with the purchase and installation of a fan press for the handling of sludge produced by the wastewater treatment plant for the town of Silt, Garfield County, state of Colorado. Would anyone like to discuss any of those separately or make a motion?
I just have a question for Trey on number 4. It says doors. I know the windows. Are we redoing the front doors or are we just doing the side?
Just the front door.
So what's that going to be then? Is it going to be the same thing basically or just new?
They're going to be, we're looking at the sliding doors. So when you walk up, they're automatically slide open.
So both inside and outside then?
Yeah. For the ADA compliance and all the doors will slide open. So the thought was you'd go up to one, it would slide this way and the inside door would slide the other way.
So it has
it's
like a
not-
push button on there so it opens too then for the handicap or?
No, it would be one of them like
But
going
motion-
into the
Oh, okay.
hospital, motion
Motion
sensor.
sensor.
Oh, okay. No, I just wasn't sure. Okay. Well, that was my only question.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then I had a question for the Public Works Director. On the fan press, is that something that's made here that we could, if it does need parts, that they're readily available?
Yes, they're actually made in Michigan
Oh, okay.
is where the company is that we're getting it from.
Okay, thank you. And then I had one other question or clarification, for myself and for people at home watching. Could Treasurer Tucker explain the 200,000?
Yes, I can. Let me start my video, sorry. So this is from the $200,000 grant that we got from Garfield County. We used it for parks out of our general fund, but Leslie Jones with the state of Colorado said because it came from Garfield County's Conservation Trust Fund, we had to spend it out of our Conservation Trust Fund. And we only appropriated $30,000 in 2023 out of a conservation trust. So I'm going to have to do a journal entry and move it from our general fund, the revenue from the general fund to the conservation trust fund. And I'm also going to have to do the same with the expenditures, which would put us over the budget that we originally had approved.
Okay, all right, thanks. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Treasurer Tucker.
Well, Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. All right. Motion by trustee Seifert to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by trustee Brittenall. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do any board members have any conflicts of interest with agenda items tonight?
Nope.
No, sir.
None here.
I have none either. Any agenda changes by staff or by the board?
None for us, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anything from the
I
board?
don't have anything.
Okay. All right. Moving right along then, the next item on the agenda is the modification of premise application for Columbine Liquor. This is a public hearing, but I will turn it over to Deputy Clerk.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and trustees. Columbine Liquor has applied for a modification of premises. All the documentation was required and has been turned in and reviewed by all the department heads. We did follow procedure on the hearings with the publishing and the posting of the requirements. The application was also reviewed by Community Development, which the applicant had filed for a building permit for the window and was approved for the window. So at this stage, we're moving forward with being able to serve liquor out of that window. Mr. Daughtry is here from Columbine Liquors if you have any questions, or if when reviewing the application, if you have any further questions for me.
So what, they're gonna add the window Where's that on this, what's it gonna do for the parking, I guess, around there? Because it's gonna be, gonna take up the drive up, so what's that gonna do for the parking area there?
I believe Nicole may be able to help me out with this a little bit. They did some research, and they have also set some traffic issues in motion to correct anything that was going to happen over there.
So we're gonna turn the alleyway into a one-way, which will be beneficial regardless. So it's gonna be a westbound alleyway, so it'll enter through 9th Street and then exit through 8th Street only.
Which way will it go? Which way will be the one-way?
It'll go westbound, so they can enter through 9th Street and then take the alley all the way through to 8th Street. And we're just gonna make that small section a one-way because the traffic does get so backed up and people are coming and going out of that little entrance out of 9th Street right before the roundabout and causing congestion there as well. So Matt has talked to Jason, the adjacent property owner, and they're gonna also make their entrance off of Main Street a one-way. So coming off of the roundabout, they can only enter through that direction, and then everybody's gonna exit through the one-way
We'll
alley.
just come turn in and, okay.
So we're gonna try to get control of the traffic that jams up over there for all three businesses.
We're gonna combine dumpsters too, so it's all in one.
Can you come to the table? Yeah.
We're gonna combine our dumpsters all in one area over by Brick House there, so it's all in one area and kind of get rid of that congestion behind the building, because that's where the window is going on that north side of the building.
And either Nicole or, hi Matt, good to see you. Is your private property, that the one that we will allow the drivers to go in, is that his personal property? So how does it work as far as keeping asphalt or keeping up with that passage there? Are we taking any conjunction responsibility with it, or has that been discussed at all? Or is that still going to be taken care of privately? Because I know it gets a little muddy there sometimes, especially if we are going to have increased traffic, so.
The alley will be paved with the sewer project that we are finishing up back there. We're just waiting on the asphalt plant, so the alley will still be the town's to maintain, but once you drop off the alley to go towards the window, it will be the owner's responsibility from that point.
Yeah, and the plan is to get that whole area paved there, just not the area where the taco truck is.
And you're gonna chip seal in the meantime, correct?
We're gonna saw and patch all the holes that are in there and then chip seal, the area
Okay.
where the dumpsters are.
Yep.
So the little or the little food trader's still gonna stay there then? I mean, I'm just trying to remember in my mind how that's gonna work with the parking and everything, so we don't get you know what I'm saying, trying to come around. When they come in the daytime, they always parked, that whole area is always full of people, so I'm just kinda concerned we lose a lot of parking, so I mean, I'm just trying to wrap that, how that's gonna work, so that's fine,
Yeah. I guess, yeah, my question was the dumpsters, where are they going to be located? But you answered that. And then I guess, because I think that driveway between the buildings is a one-way currently, but I always see people going the other way. So I guess my question is, it's private property and it's supposed to go one way, so enforcement of that.
So there's no current signage there, not when I was
No.
driving around, so
No,
there's no
because I thought there was
signage
one by
saying
the
that it's
pizza
one way.
place.
No, it's never.
Or it says no,
It
it says
says
no
no
left turn.
turning.
That's
Yeah,
what
it
it
says
is.
no left
Okay,
turn.
all right. I stand corrected.
Yeah, it's always
so
been both
anyway.
ways, but, okay.
So anyway, my question was, because it's private property, we want the traffic to flow that way. I mean, is that, I'm assuming, the owners of that property, that's their job to enforce that.
And it'll take some getting used to. They're gonna have to put signs and consistently remind their customers as they're coming in, remember the new traffic flow. And so some of that educational piece will be on the property owners to explain to everybody.
So, just a quick, just so I can refresh, so the one-way is gonna start by the building or back out by the end where you come in already, or back
The
Yeah, I mean-
one-way's on a start on 9th Street,
on Ninth?
and you have to go one way all the way to 8th Street.
And then it'll be one way on the way in from Main Street. So the only way
between the
to
two
get out is,
buildings.
Okay.
yeah, to 8th Street.
And obviously enforcement of the alley would be the town's.
So I guess, so if we're gonna travel from 9th to 8th Street westbound one way. So doesn't that make your drive-up window on the passenger side
No,
No,
vehicles?
I mean, driver's side.
I guess it would, yeah. Yeah.
The window's on the north side.
You're just thinking,
Yeah.
because normally, I know when I go there, I go out this way always.
Yeah, you're always
But you're
going-
gonna be coming in this way,
Yeah,
the opposite way you normally have been going.
yeah.
so, and that's gonna be something they'll have to tell the customers to use the drive-up window. You're gonna have to come in off 9th Street to get to it. You're not gonna be able to come up between the buildings and get to it.
Yeah.
yeah, and I will have some signage directing them that way, you know,
way.
when it initially opens.
So, okay, yeah, so we'll be, because you're gonna come in 9th, then they'll come out on 6th, it'll come out this way then, and then have to make a right turn as they come out of there then.
Perfect,
right?
that's what I was just
Oh,
doing,
there you go.
Sheila.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this will be the one-way right here. So they'll come in off of 9th Street, and then this is still an opening for the taqueria. They're gonna have to come here and then come down, and then they'll loop back out, and he's gonna have to do some
Oh,
sort
they're
of
gonna-
signage.
Oh,
So
okay.
they'll come in, I mean, really, you might have to do some sort of drawing on the floor or some sort of cones at first.
Yep.
To get everybody used to it.
I guess I'm still kind of worried about if you got cars in the drive up and they're trying to get to the little taco stand, it's gonna be kind of blocked. They're gonna be kind of blocked in at that point.
Yeah, and I've talked with
see
Maria,
what
and
I'm
she's gonna
saying?
do some reconfiguring with her trailer. She's gotta speak to
Yeah.
Nicole about that. and So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I am super concerned about traffic, even trying to travel north out of the roundabout to turn left into that alley. You have a couple cars in line to go to the drive-up window. Then traffic backs up where you can't turn off at 9th, and then pretty soon we're gonna have traffic backed up into the roundabout, waiting for someone to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then especially during, like in the evenings when they're open with the pizza, or the taco truck is
You have the
open.
taco truck and you have the pizza traffic, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got the pizza traffic in there.
Yeah, it's a congested little area.
Yeah.
Have you guys discussed getting in from Main Street and then going to the right instead? Do an
yeah,
L
the only
from
reason we
main-
can't do that, because that would be a passenger side.
Oh, that's the issue with the passenger side.
So when they come through the roundabout then, they're gonna turn to the right then to go into Columbine and the pizza place then, right?
Yes,
That's gonna be the one way, they only can turn in that way, okay.
from Main Street
So
there.
they'll still be parking in front of both buildings. We're not gonna lose any of that.
Nope.
Okay, I mean, that was my concern. I just wanna make sure just trying to visualize it. So the drive up is on the end.
Yeah, and right now at the very end there where the drive up is, there's probably about 8 feet that gets taken by dumpsters. All the way across the backside of the building. And those are gonna move to the left, right behind the La Pasita supermarket there, behind Brick House,
So
right in that area.
Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. So you could potentially, after you turn, get 3 cars after the taco truck, 1, 2, 3 by the time you get to the window, potentially if you have a drawing. 3 cars, because I'm thinking the timing for the transactions, were you calculating like a 7-minute?
Probably more like 2 for each transaction,
And
yeah.
if we have space for 3 cars, potentially?
Yeah, that's my only concern. I'm just thinking about just getting people blocked into that pizza or that taco truck if they're backed up, like I say, in the evening.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out how, I guess, it looks bigger than it is on the map, I realize that, so.
And she's got room for, I think, 5
I
cars
was
in
worried
there.
people are just gonna drive straight over the curb and out of there because they can't back
Because
up.
they can't back up, so then
They're
we're,
gonna just
Yeah, I
over
mean,
the curb and away they go.
they've been doing it already. When the alley was closed, I saw who knows
but-
how many cars go right over the sidewalk.
But I mean, now when it's open, they're
Yeah.
gonna usually, 'cause I mean, I was there the other day and got stuff and it was pretty backed up in there. I mean, there was like 10 cars in there in the daytime. There was just no room for
Yeah.
parking. I mean, they were parked on the end of the building. They were parked, because there is no on-street parking around that whole curve, so.
Yeah. I guess my question for community development is, you don't think there'd be any issue because the alley behind senior housing is going west to east, do you? You don't think there'd be a concern of people just trying to just go straight down that alley to 7th?
I mean, I think that's always a concern,
Well,
but
that's true, yes.
if we put the proper signage, hopefully people pay
Although,
attention.
I believe there is a do not enter sign right there.
Yeah.
And usually if I go behind the old Tim Stools, I always take a left or right. I never go behind senior housing, so.
Yeah. I mean, I know people go the wrong way anyway. I just didn't know if you think there would be an increase of people doing that.
So it's gonna be asphalted, the whole alley, all the way from 8th to 9th? It's gonna be asphalted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, like I say, that's just I don't want to take away from another business, you know, that's been doing good there. So I'm just trying to figure out, okay.
Yeah, but you know, if they're only there 2 or 3, 4 minutes, well,
Yeah, but,
it's tough to tell.
yeah,
You know,
And I
you could
see
have
the
2
liquor
cars
store.
there or 20 cars there.
I see the liquor store window being right after work, where the taco truck is around lunch,
yeah.
Oh, that's true.
is
Yes.
when they're really busy. But I see the liquor store more, that 5, 6 o'clock hour, people coming home, swinging in, grabbing something and going home.
I mean, what do you notice
But-
about congestion?
It lasts about an hour from about 11:30 to maybe 1 o'clock, so about an hour and a half. And we actually have to go out there and move cars because they take the whole alleyway up and everything. Like they're parked all over the place.
And then what about your congestion? What are your peak
Mine are
hours?
from probably 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning, and then it just starts up about 11 o'clock. And then it's really congested at night. So, but it's good steady flow through there. I think with the drive-through, it's just gonna have, we've talked about just doing hours from 4:30 to close because of the taqueria being so congested during that lunch hour period. And then
That's what I was gonna
just on
suggest.
weekends doing a whole day.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of what we talked about.
So
Maria-
it may have to be something that,
Yeah,
if
and-
it starts overlapping congestion, that
Yep.
you limit your hours that you're serving out of the window.
Yeah, and Maria and I have talked a lot about, because they park 2 cars there now that are just stay there all day. So we've talked about, she's gonna maybe park her cars in a different area, so there is more room for 2 more cars there, and it's not as congested in that area, so.
And my only other concern is similar to the mayor's, because tonight after work, I have no idea why, but the traffic headed west was backed up past the come and go, and I couldn't figure out why it was backed up. You know, because people seem to be going through the roundabout just fine, but there was a long line of cars going that way. And I guess my question is, what would we, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but what would happen if we deem this as a problem in backing up traffic?
So this is Mike.
Yes.
You know, one, I would note that representations of the applicant are binding. And if they're representing that if traffic becomes an issue, they're not going to operate the window between certain hours or maybe even have the store closed. I'm not sure what the extent of the representation is. That should be specifically called out as a condition of approval so that it is binding, that if the town notices a problem, we have the ability to go in and say your approval of this change in the the licensed premise was based upon these representations and we're now enforcing them.
Thank you for that. I don't have any other questions.
No, that was my only question.
I still think, I think it's gonna cause a huge mess with traffic. We already have, I mean, the busy hours, unfortunately, the busy hours of the liquor store, the busy hours at everyone coming home. We already get jammed up on the highway. So now we have a holdup turning left off of 9th Street to go down the alley that then backs up into the roundabout, and it's gonna make a traffic disaster in our little town. So,
I don't know. First, we're gonna have, it'll still be open the other way to, so, I mean, it'll still have the other parking, so, you know, I don't expect everybody's gonna go through the drive-through.
No.
No, usually people that tend to go through the drive-throughs at a liquor store already know what they want, so they're usually the people that are constant customers. But
And I guess that would fall under what Attorney Sawyer said, if we see it's a problem, we just have to,
Yeah.
I don't know, come back and revisit it, you know, I mean,
so how does the purchasing of liquor work in a vehicle? When you go to Walmart and you have a 17-year-old with you, everyone has to show an ID or you can't purchase. So if someone pulls up in a vehicle, does everybody have to show an ID to be able to
you can
purchase?
probably answer that question better than I can.
No, it's a sealed container, so it'd be like him. They can take it out, but I mean, as long as the person that's receiving it and paying through it, through the window, is the one that should be ID'd and is 21.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're still allowed to enter the liquor store with your kids and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I thought with the change of liquor laws for grocery stores and convenience stores having wine and liquor, that everyone in the party had to show an ID.
Sheila, I mean, I'm not aware of that, are you?
I have not heard anything on that.
Mm-mm.
And Mr. Mayor, we have surpassed the 10 minutes. How would you like to move forward?
Okay. Yes, this is a public hearing, so we do need to open up to the public, and then we'll come back, finish up board comments.
that's,
And
yep.
go from there. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we open the public comment? Okay. So the time is 7:27 PM, and I'll open up the public hearing for the modification of premise application for Columbine Liquors. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, sir, I did not hear from anyone.
Okay.
I do not show any raised hands, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And would anybody here in the chambers with us like to speak to this agenda item? All right, seeing none, the time is 7:28 PM, and I will open up to further discussion by the board or a motion.
I mean, I'd be fine with it if we added language in there saying, you know, if,
I think that's what attorney said. What would be the proper
Exactly.
language we need to put in there, attorney?
That a condition is that if the town determines that operation of the drive-through window is causing a traffic problem, that the applicant shall close operations of the drive-through window during such periods as the town may direct.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I guess I make a motion for the modification of premise application for Columbine Liquors on the stipulation that if we find out that it is impeding traffic, then the town has the right to, with the owners, to change hours of operation of the drive-up window.
I'll second.
We have a motion by trustee Seifert to approve the modification of premise application for Columbine Liquors, with the condition of approval being that if there is, if it's found that the drive-up window is impeding traffic, that the applicant will be required to modify their hours of operation
Operation of the drive-up window
as directed by the town.
as directed by the town.
And that motion was seconded by trustee Clausen. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? Nay. Motion passes 4-1. All right. Thank you for coming in tonight. The next item on the agenda is Consciously Crafted LLC doing business as High Q Liquor, change controlling of the beneficial owners. I will turn this
Yes.
over also.
Consciously Crafted has entered into a purchase agreement with High Q. I just want to give you a little background real quick because with this purchase, it includes 8 other facilities up and down the valley. They have also, with the purchase, they will be keeping High Q Silt as the name. They have submitted an application a full new application to both the town and the state. All the department heads have reviewed all the documents and we have done an inspection. The background checks have been satisfactory, through the state and the local authorities. There will be no modifications to the operation or the products that they're carrying. So this is just literally the transfer of ownership, basically. All the posting and publishing requirements have been met. And a representative, I was expecting Christine Provenzano. Christina. So she is representing Consciously Crafted here tonight if you will have any questions.
Okay. Since you're here, would you like to come up to the table and if there are any questions? Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Oh, are you from this area, Christine? How long have you been in the area? I'm just curious to get to know a little bit more about you and your background and how long was the LLC formed? And what other businesses do you own in town under the LLC?
Sure. So I'm not the owner. I do live in the town of Basalt. I've been employed with High Q, which the LLC is Plum Companies. High Q Silt is just one of the retail stores. I am the HR director for them. I've been with them for 2 years, and I will be now working as the director of HR for Consciously Crafted.
Okay.
I believe High Q Silt has been in operation for 8 or 9 years. Is it?
I do not know. 14,
Yeah, I
14?
believe it's 8 or 9 years that High Q has been operating. We have 4 stores, like you said, up and down the valley, and a grow in Quebec, and a manufacturing kitchen in Carbondale.
Okay, so it's my understanding that beneficial owners have 25% ownership. So is that what this is indicating? The change of controlling beneficial owners, that you have different owners that have more than 25%?
That's correct.
Okay.
And also, I believe that there is our CEO and our COO have called in. That may be able to answer those questions a little bit better than I can.
I do have a gentleman named Dylan with his hand raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like me to unmute him, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Hi, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Dylan. I just wanted to introduce myself. I am part of ownership. So I just wanted to be here to answer any questions as well that Christina might not be able to, and also just introduce myself.
Okay.
Thank you, Dylan, for being on the call. Yeah, I just had questions about the percentage of ownership change that's being presented to us. So I thought, for some reason, controlling beneficial owners. So is the LLC, I'm looking at some percentages there. And who's representing the LLC? I don't know if they're hearing me or not. Okay.
Yeah, so that should, let me see. That should be the breakdown, the new breakdown. So Eco Green Grow Holdings LLC, that's us.
Okay.
So I'm part of that. I'm part of that ownership. And then the rest are people that were part of the previous ownership that are essentially smaller shares, but it is a little bit complicated. But um, a lot of I mean, we basically have the same we have the same staffing. It's just we're merging assets, and Eco Green Grow, which is us. We are taking over the majority interest and going to be running the operations of all of the assets that are combined, and this being one of them.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing, Dalen, is that you will be in the administrative, mostly controlling portion of the asset administration, representing under Eco Green Grow Holdings. Is that just basically the decision-making, the paperwork, the renewal and licenses, or where exactly you will be coming in as far as handling this consciously craft doing business as HiQ and having 80% control on this? It sounds to me the only reason I'm asking is that potentially Dalen, being a representative of Eco Green, could be making some of the decisions. It would be nice to have that known to all of us. As far as, I had to dig a little through to get to that point.
Okay.
So I just want to continue getting answers if we can. Does that make any
Yeah,
sense?
no worries. That makes sense. Yeah. So we will, top to bottom, we'll be doing all of it, but we have the same staff that'll be working on this store specifically. So nothing really is going to change, but in regards to decision making and higher level, the difference is it will be us instead of the previous CEO that was there. But not much is going to change. I'm not sure how much you know about our company, but we have the same, we essentially we're very similar companies. We started out in Denver, but we grow living soil, and we have all of the same values that this company has, and it's actually it's a great fit, and the transition has been very easy because we're almost one and the same. And so not much, I mean, really nothing is going to be changing, but yes, I will be myself, Christina, Julian, and Allison, who are also on this call. Julian is our COO and Allison is our Director of Compliance. We'll be the ones that will be the decision makers and also directly dealing with anything that has to do with the city or you guys or whatnot. So if that hopefully answered your question or clear things up a little bit.
Cleared up a little bit.
Okay.
I have no questions.
I don't have anything.
I guess my only question for our deputy town clerk would be, this business, I think, operates under a special use license?
I did cover that with Nicole. When this gets approved, and the reason why I brought up was the additional factor of the additional properties, is that the state is reviewing their state side of the application with all of the other entities. I do have a condition in my report to you with with the approval of this license that the state obviously has to approve it as well. And then once they do get approved, they're going to have to come in and obtain a business license. And I believe they're changing some signage. So they're going to need to get with community development. And that is part of my conditions is that they follow whatever is in our code as far as that side. My understanding is that we looked into the SUP and they don't need to technically apply for it, but they need to do a letter of understanding that they comply with what was already approved.
Okay. I just want them to understand that this special use permit does have, I don't know,
Yes,
I don't remember what
absolutely.
the timeline that is for, but that
Yeah.
these new owners or this new group will still have to come and apply for that, and that it's not a guarantee that the board will grant that SUP for that location.
And just to clarify, that is when it expires, is what you're referencing to?
Correct. And I don't remember specifically if that's I think we went 2 years on that.
2 years. I would have to do a quick look to see if I can find when it's due for renewal, if you'd like me to, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, if it won't take you too long, Sheila, that'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, you have a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's just the dispensary in that location is not a use by right location. So it does have a special use permit that comes up for renewal, and I can't remember when we did the last renewal of it.
I thought they just renewed.
It looks like historically we've approved it in September of even numbered years. So my guess is they will be coming due again this fall.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I believe we just renewed the business license.
Business license
Is
is the
that
first,
correct?
that would,
Okay.
but once it changes hands,
We have to do that again.
you will need to come in under Consciously Crafted and obtain a new business license. And I believe Jason told me that you plan on changing the signage as well, which you're going to need to apply for a sign permit as well for that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add before we open up the public hearing?
I don't think so, thank you.
Okay, all right. Then the time is 7:43 p.m. and I will open up the public hearing for Consciously Crafted LLC, doing business as Silt, change of controlling of beneficial owners. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, Mr. Mayor, but when we're done with the public hearing, I can relay to you one of the conditions in the special use permit that was approved.
Okay. All right.
I do not show any raised hands, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And would anyone here in the public like to speak to this agenda item? All right. Seeing none, the time is 7:43 p.m. when I will close the public hearing. And Sheila, if you want to go ahead and remind us what that condition is.
It's listed as condition number 4 that the applicant or his heirs, successors, or assigns, if she wishes to continue utilizing the property in the above stated manner, submits a written request to the Board of Trustees not fewer than 20 days prior to the end date of the renewal of the special use permit. Such request to be considered by the Board of Trustees at a regular meeting. Such written request must state the reason for the special use permit extension request. The applicant or its heirs, successors, or assigns shall be in good standing with the town with regards to payment of utility bills and maintenance of the property.
Okay. All right. And that's in the SUP, so we don't need to add anything to this motion, so. Is there any more discussion by the board, or would someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the Consciously Crafted LLC, DBA Silt, change controlling of beneficial owners.
I'll second.
Motion by trustee Seifert to approve the change of controlling of beneficial owners for Consciously Crafted LLC, DBA Silt. That was seconded by trustee Clausen. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, Christina, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan.
All right, next up is resolution number 6, series 2024, a resolution for finding of facts regarding the annexation petition for property known as 129 West Home Avenue, Silt, Colorado. And I will turn this over to Nicole.
Perfect. I would like to welcome the Marionis and Steve Wisely to come sit up at the table. Alrighty, so this is the second time that you've had these applicants come in front of you for an annexation of 129 West Home Avenue. Nothing has significantly changed in our findings of facts outside of what was presented for substantial compliance. I am going to do a quick overview of the staff report as a whole that's going to pertain to the resolution and both ordinances that you're going to see after. Garfield County, they initially applied for a building permit in Garfield County, and Garfield County flagged the application and said, hold on, I don't think Silt nor does the county want a leach field and septic tank at this location because it's, with the exception of one side, town all the way around. They are proposing a R2 zoning because they still are in hopes of doing a single family dwelling there. They do want to annex into the town so that they can hook to our water and sewer and not have the leach field or septic tank. If you can recall, the comprehensive plan designates this parcel commercial and service, which does not fit with their proposal, but staff believes that even though the comprehensive plan does not align, it does align with the existing zoning and uses surrounding it. The Marionis do not have any designated water rights to give the town, so they will be paying the in lieu of dedication. And I know at the last meeting that we were discussing this proposal, it was asked what the in lieu of fees were. For domestic, it's $1,171.84, and then for irrigation, it's $1,757.77. And so they would be tying on to our water sewer, but then they would also have irrigation there as well. So they'd pay both of the in lieu of fees. My recommendation, so on December 5th, Planning and Zoning voted with a recommendation to approve the zoning annexation. On January 8th, it came in front of the trustees, and the substantial compliance was approved by resolution number 5. The application has met the 4-week public notice requirement as well as the 15-day public notice requirement for findings of facts and both ordinances for the annexation and zoning. The findings of facts resolution, if approved, will prompt the ordinance for annexation, which will require 2 readings, as well as the ordinance for zoning. If both are approved, the second reading would take place February 26th. Staff recommends the approval of Resolution 6, 2024 for findings of facts, Ordinance 1, Series 2024 for annexation, and Ordinance 2, Series 2024 for zoning of 129 West Home Avenue, with the conditions that all statements made by the application and in the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of Trustees need to be considered conditions of approval, that the applicant provides any additional requested documents and pay any remaining fees, and that this is not an approval for building, but rather an approval for the use, and then they would apply for a building permit separately, and that the applicant pay the in lieu of fees. I did also put 3 different recommended motions for the resolution in both ordinances, and I will answer any questions you may have.
Question for Trey. Irrigation water is close to there, isn't there?
Yeah. It's in Home Avenue.
Okay, and water and sewer, I assume, goes right by both of them, okay.
Yep. All out in Home Avenue.
Okay. That's all I have.
That's all you
Really?
have? Okay.
Yeah, all the questions I had, I got answered last meeting,
Okay.
or the last time you were in front of us.
The first time, so.
Yep.
Okay. With the designation of an R2 zone district, this lot would be limited to one single-family residence?
No. Let me pull that up here really quick and I can. That's what they're proposing. That's what they have house plans for to turn in is just a single family. But let me take a quick peek here and see.
And we would not be opposed to being limited to that, should that be a question.
Okay.
You would think I think I have it all memorized. I just don't want to misquote myself here. I know.
That's why I asked you, because it's a thick book to remember, so.
It's what she does in her spare time, study the
I
code.
know.
Yeah.
It's light reading. It's
Yeah.
it's good. Okay, so it would be a special use for anything multifamily. So they potentially could have the ability to do something additional, but it would be a
It
special
would be a
use
special
permit.
use,
Yeah.
okay. Is there anything else the applicants would like to add before we open up the public hearing?
Just again, you know, we have plans for about a 1,980 square foot home, 3-bed, 2-bath, beautify that lot really, really much nicer than it currently is. And would love to be able to be in the town of Silt and take advantage of tapping into the water and sewer here. I think it would just be a much needed improvement to what sits there now.
Okay, all right. Okay. These are public hearings, so we're gonna have to go through each one individually. So, we will get going here. So the first one is, the time is 7:52, and I'll open up the public hearing for resolution number 6, series 2024. A resolution for finding of facts regarding the annexation petition for property known as 129 West Home Avenue, Silt, Colorado. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, sir, I did not hear from anyone.
Okay.
I do not have any raised hands, and just to let you know, there are only employees in the meeting program.
Okay. And would anybody here in the public chambers with us like to make a motion or a comment on this agenda item?
We would love to see it done.
Okay, all right. Okay, the time is 7:53 p.m. and I will close the public hearing and open up to further discussion by the board or a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 6, series 2024 as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Brittenall to approve resolution number 6, series 2024 as presented, seconded by trustee Seifert. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there any more information to add to any of these?
There
Okay.
is not.
All right. Would the applicants like to add any more information in regards to the annexation?
Just love to see it done as soon as possible.
All right. Then the time is 7:54 p.m. and I'll open up the public hearing for ordinance number 1, series 2024. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, I did not hear from anyone.
Okay,
Still no raised hands.
thank you. And would anybody here in the chambers like to speak to this agenda item?
Ditto.
Okay. All right, the time is 7:54 p.m. and I will close the public hearing and open up to further discussion by the board or a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion approving the first reading of ordinance number 1, series 2024, an ordinance annexing to the town of Silt, Colorado, certain real property located at 129 West Home Avenue, Silt, Colorado, known as the Marioni annexation.
Second.
All right.
And then, sorry, I did put up above, and I don't know if Sawyer might need to weigh in on this one, but since we are reading a second reading of the ordinance, if we have to also include in that, that we want to continue the public notice to do the second reading.
So on the ordinance, no, because we've noticed this public hearing for the first reading, so it just follows that the second reading of the ordinance will happen at the next meeting. We don't have to renotice anything.
Okay, so we don't have to verbally continue it. For the
No, by passing the ordinance on first reading, it's automatically set for the next meeting for consideration.
Perfect.
Okay.
Just wanted to double check.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion by trustee Clausen to approve the first reading of ordinance number 1, series 2024, an ordinance annexing to the town of Silt, Colorado, certain real property located at 129 West Home Avenue, Silt, Colorado, known as the Marioni annexation, and that was seconded by trustee Britnall. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And do the applicants have anything to add to ordinance number 2, series 2024?
I think we're speechless now.
Okay, all right. The time is 7:56 PM, and I'll open up the public hearing for the first reading of ordinance number 2, series 2024. An ordinance of the town of Silt, Colorado, zoning is R2, General Residential District, a 0.18 acre parcel located at 129 West Home Avenue, Silt, Colorado, known as the Marioni annexation within the town of Silt, Colorado. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program, or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item.
No, sir, did not hear from anyone.
Okay,
I have no raised hands.
thank you. Anybody in the chambers like to speak to this agenda item?
I think we're good. Thank
Okay.
you.
The time is 7:57 PM, and we'll close the public hearing and open up to further discussion by the board or a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I've make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2, series of 2024, as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Poston to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2, series 2024 as presented. That was seconded by trustee Seifert. All is in favor?
Aye.
All is opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you guys very much for being here tonight. Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So our second reading is?
The 26th.
26th. Okay, thanks.
Yes. All right.
See you
Thank
then.
Nicole. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We are a little bit ahead here. So the next item on the agenda was Highwater Farms presentation with Sarah Tin Chisholm. I don't know if she's joining us remotely or if she had planned on.
Remotely.
Okay.
She was feeling under the weather, so she had planned to be here, but then
Okay.
we just heard from her today and she changed that. But I don't,
And she was aware that she was set for 8:20, but I did ask her to sign in early just in case we did get to her sooner.
And she is not signed in yet.
Okay. Well, then we'll just table that for now and move on to administrator and staff comments, if that's okay with everybody.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So we will move on to administrator and staff comments, and we will start with Administrator Lehman.
the only thing I wanted to point out as part of my staff report is, well, I mean, there's a lot of things that are open. You can see in there, and a lot of different things that we're working on. But the one thing I wanted to, actually two things. You heard from the Coal Ridge High School boosters a little while ago. The Titan Court information and the $1,000 contribution that they were asking for is.
If I can interrupt, Sarah just logged in.
Okay. We'll let Jeff finish up this booster club
Okay.
thing, and then we'll jump back to that one.
Perfect.
And then, so that, all that information is in there, including the drawing there that they have. Looks like there's about 16 squares of 9 by 9 concrete next to the concession stand. And it's just meant to be a place for people to gather right there at the concession stand. And like you heard her say, each contributor would have a little metal plate on the concrete that would identify the booster. I think, and we've got about, I think we've got $6,500 budgeted for general contributions. You know, a lot of these things come up and they're $200 and $300 asks, and staff just makes a judgment call usually on these kinds of things. But this was a little bit over our normal, you know, where we felt comfortable on $1,000. But I don't know that, I guess it's kind of up to you all whether you want to do a vote on it or not. But I kind of thought, you know, if we could just, you know, since it is budgeted, we could just do some head nods and we could go ahead and make that contribution unless somebody, absent someone's objection.
I'm good with it, I guess.
I mean, I guess do we know exactly what it's gonna look like? So you have, I mean, looking at the picture, you have the squares.
I don't know if the colors represent anything or not. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think they're gonna be that color, I guess, Chris.
Yeah.
Is what I'm-
Well, I just didn't know, I mean, is the plaque gonna be, you know, this size or?
Don't know.
I'm not asking for the whole thing
I was
to
just
be
saying, I
it,
don't
but
think really the
just-
size of the plaque is really that big of a deal, because it's not like we're advertising
Yeah.
for it or anything. It's just kind of lets people know that the town of Silt did contribute to this. It's a high school that our citizens' kids attend, and so I think anything we can do to help that out is a good
Kind of
thing.
the thought behind it more than the size of the plaque, so.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if we were a private business that was wanting to drive business from that, then yeah, I could see that being a bigger issue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I just, you know, just want to make sure the public knows that, yeah, we support
Yep.
Coleridge High School.
And I think those are good questions, and I should have asked them. We can certainly ask them to come back and do a formal presentation as an agenda item if you'd like to do that.
I don't think so.
We got a lot going
My
on.
location.
Yeah, I'm fine with doing it.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I don't think we need a vote, do you, Mr. Mayor?
we can discretionary spend that out of our 6,500, yeah, so.
Being we have the budget for it, so.
We'll make that
Head
contribution.
nods noted.
And I will get information about exactly what that plaque's gonna look like, Chris, and report it back. I think that's good
It
information.
would be nice to see, yeah.
Certainly good for the town to have. Agreed. And then there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, rediscovering common ground. I participated, as did a lot of people in CMC land. I think there were 1,000 people on this call.
Oh, wow.
With the conversation between Richard Haas and Walter Isaacson, who's a historian, about this book that I've distributed in front of you. His book is called The Bill of Obligations. CMC was giving those away to anybody that wanted one. And it's just an effort on Mr. Haas's part to try to engage public servants in acts of civility and to be a little better about working with others. I don't mean to imply that any of you don't work well with others, but I think it's something that we should all probably be aware of. And I just thought it was an opportunity to pass that along to you. So there you have it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to either answer them or, because I have read the book and found it thought-provoking.
No, let's jump back to Sarah, I guess.
Yeah. Nicole, you don't know any more about the concrete squares, do you? You're pretty involved in the
I
school, huh?
do not. But we can definitely find out.
Find out. I think each square is actually 9 foot by 9 foot.
Correct.
Yeah. So you're buying, I mean, for the $1,000, it's a big
Yeah.
chunk. I mean, if they're gonna put picnic tables and everything out there, I
Yeah.
don't see the whole
Yeah.
checkerboard being 9 feet by 9 feet.
No, the whole, that's what I meant, is
Yeah.
each, and I think I wrote that, but it's, yeah, each,
Square
each
is 9 by
square is
9.
9
Where's
by
9
9.
feet by 9, yeah. So I'd assume it's probably a plaque bigger than something small.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of joking.
Well, it would
You
make
know.
sense to imprint something into the, I mean, if they're pouring concrete out there.
Yeah, I didn't know how they
Like
were
the
going to do
bookmark
it.
is
Yes.
kind of what I
That's-
read out
That's
here.
what I had envisioned.
That's
yeah.
what I thought it would
Yeah.
be, yeah.
So
And if they're using color concrete, all the better.
their colors are blue and silver, so
Yeah,
they
maybe it
Maybe
is.
because they do.
could be doing it, yeah.
They could do what, it's $1,000 a square?
Yeah.
The what?
That's why it's $1,000 a square, because they're doing colored
Because they're doing
concrete.
colored concrete
Yeah.
versus.
Yeah, it's at least about
regular
$1,000
old-
a square yard,
Yeah.
cubic yard, I mean.
Okay. All right. Well, if Sarah has joined us, then we will go ahead and jump back to the Highwater Farm presentation with Sarah Tin Chisholm.
Yeah, I'd like to just give a quick introduction. At your place tonight was a cover sheet of Sarah's information that she submitted that I had meant to be part of the packet. It's just a agenda item summary sheet that I put in there that you'll recall that Highwater Farm leases a piece of our Silt River Preserve, and 5 acres out there, and they've done so since about 2020. And we have this great partnership with them. I think, in my view, they're a real benefit to the town to be here. And then also lastly, this presentation fulfills a requirement of their lease with the town, that they update the board annually on their activities out there. So without further ado, here's Sarah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you can. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Is my face nice and large in the room there?
Yes.
Great.
knows you well.
I wish I could see you all in person. I am fighting off a bit of a cold, so thank you for taking me remote. I do look forward to seeing you guys in person probably within the next month. There's some time this spring to review our lease, so I know that's coming down the pipeline. And then I would also really love to get the board and staff out to the farm. So you guys let me know when you can coordinate or what works for you, and I can make anything work, because I would just love for you to come have a tour and really be at the space. So I'm here to give you an update and talk about how this year went. I have to figure out how to share my screen, and I thought it was going to be really obvious, but now I'm struggling. And I'm going to phone a friend for help. How do I do that?
Hey, there's a friend.
There's Bud.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Hey, Bud.
I almost drove down and I was sick because I was like, I'm so intimidated by this part. Okay, thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. So I put together some images just so that you get a nice visual of the farm. This image is from last spring. This is my farm manager, Becca, on the left, and then Ava, who was our youth program coordinator, on the right. I am really excited about this visual. So this, one of the AVLT monitors who came out to just photograph the preserve took a drone shot for us of the farm. And so I love this visual. It's just a short video, but that's basically our wildlife fencing is 3.5 acres. And so what you see there is what 3 acres of production looks like. For those of you that don't know, all of the different pieces of the farm are really strategic. So the bed lengths are 150 feet long and they're 3 feet wide. And part of why they're that length and width is because when I was doing my farmer apprentice training, I found all of the beds we were working on were 200 to 400 feet long. And that's great if you're in production farming, but if you're training young people to be in production farming, that's a little too long. So once we get into a task, then we are using the rhythm to keep that task going. Same thing with 3 foot width. That's really so that it's manageable for people to reach across the bed and step across the bed. And then a couple of things I just want to point out in these images, like you can see this netting that's on top of some of the beds. The white netting is called Protect Net. And that's a netting that we got to experiment with thanks to a SARE grant. So I love our partnership with the town. I love where we're located. And at this point, there's been, at least over $120,000 worth of infrastructure invested into this project. And so I live and breathe this stuff, but I know that is just me and my farm manager. And so Becca and I living and breathing this all the time. We're bringing on our seasonal crew right now. And then we have the youth program that we're lining out for the summer. So I'm excited to talk to you more about that. Let me see here. I think I need to, okay, great. So this is just a little segue for me to talk about the youth program. Last year we had 10 teens who participated in our youth program, and they were with us for the 8-week program. And we just love that our program brings together youth from different backgrounds. So we're really trying to represent the Latino and white communities. We have a nice gender balance to the crew. And youth really just need to demonstrate an interest and willingness to commit and to be there, and then to be willing to learn. So last year was a huge success, and we actually got some funding, which I'm really excited about, last fall from a foundation called the Kenneth King Foundation to bring back 6 assistant crew leaders. So 6 of the teens who have been with us in past seasons are returning, and then they're going to help lead this next summer crew. And so we're bringing on 14 new youth. So we're looking at a doubling the size of our youth program, which is really awesome. And I think that for me, the part of what's been really exciting about having youth return is that some of the teens who I was interviewing for positions for this season who are returning are teens who in the past I've had to approach and be really direct and say, hey, the way you're talking to me is inappropriate and I need to see X, Y, and Z in the field, and have had some, that challenging back and forth with teenagers, and then to have them return and now be so respectful, ready for next level position. It really for me is a testament to the model working, which is really cool because I know I was selling this whole concept really hard when I first got here. And so now it's really rewarding to have it playing out in real time and having those big successes. So that's our youth program. I'm going to keep buzzing and I want to make sure that I leave time for questions and I don't want to talk your ear off for too long. This was our CSA size last year. This will be the same size as our CSA again this year. It's 120 members. About 70 to 80 of those are on farm and about 50 pick up in Glenwood. And then a few get shuttled up to Carbondale from our Glenwood pickup location. It's an 18-week program, mid-June to mid-October. So people pay $775 in advance of the season, and then they get to come every week and pick up produce. We have, so we want each week to feel like a diversity so people can cook something interesting. It isn't, it's an investment in the farm. So that is a price that kind of reflects the fact that we're trying to pay ourselves and try to pay the young people that are working for us too. We also seek funding for subsidized shares. So we are accepting SNAP, also known as food stamps. We're accepting WIC benefits. We just got WIC 10 approval today for 10 WIC memberships. So Garfield County WIC program is helping to channel funds for 10 families to come to the farm every week. And those will all be Silt families. And then we also get every once in a while through SNAP and WIC and through our Latino outreach coordinator, we hear about a family that's really in need. And so we'll ask to get that family sponsored. And so then those are also families that are more word of mouth, but also low income and low access that are coming to the farm. And then here's a quick video that just kind of shows how, youth are incorporated into all aspects of what we do. These are what the box shares look like. So when these get packed and sent out, here are some of the teens helping us pack them. You can kind of see that there's a lot happening in the background, and that's at the height of the season. My husband always makes fun of me for taking really short videos, so they every once in a while they come in handy. Hold on. Okay, and I just wanted to kind of backtrack and say, wow, this is where we started. So this is 2020, breaking ground for the first time, getting friends to come out with their heavy equipment to help plow until. And then, Town Public Works has been a huge support, and we've just been really grateful for our partnership. That first half acre is in that top right quadrant. And then as you saw in that other image, we're fully planted out now. So this is from 2022. This isn't that sexy of an image. It doesn't make agriculture like look particularly appealing in certain instances. I'm looking at these giant tarps, but I think that it's worth me just touching on some of our growing practices. So as you know, we don't apply any chemicals. My cat is going to walk in front of me right now. But we instead are doing some different weird things. And so one of those things is, these huge tarps that are on the field are being used for what we call solarization. And we try to trap in moisture. So after some type of rain or snow or watering, and then cover the field so that the first few layers of weed seed are dying back and they're growing up and then getting knocked back. So it helps us get ahead of the weeds. It also keeps the soil warm. So lots of microbial activity under there, things breaking down so that we can peel that back and plant into it. So that's an organic method. And then you can see like the chickens, like there's a little poultry netting in a little coop, and we graze them through areas where we've had pests. I'm going to just buzz through these really quickly. I actually put together some slides for a presentation at the local Food and Farm Forum. It's an agricultural conference on the Western Slope, and had the honor of presenting about agricultural practices, and so love doing that. I imagine most folks are familiar with cutworms, but we figured out a cool way to apply nematodes, which is also another organic growing method. And so we, put these tiny nematodes in this bucket and then suck them up through our wobbler system. And then we basically are able to rain down all of these tiny insects that are parasitic and then help kill back cutworms. So every year we're learning some tricks, and that's super satisfying. Becca, our farm manager, she managed a SARE grant this year. So we got $19,000, especially or particularly for experimenting with different types of methods and covers. So those protectant and the different materials that you see, the things that I mentioned, tarps, and then to report back on our findings and be able to present at things like the Food and Farm Forum and present our findings to other farmers so that our tests can be demonstrated and help improve growing practices for farms across the Southwest. So we were testing, and we had control plots and then test plots. So the control plots were exposed, and the cabbage, it's getting taken out by cabbage worms and flea beetles. And then the protectant is really helping with not only the pest protection, but also the UV. And then this is, part of the failed experiment. So farming is always, we find some positivities and we find some failed experiments. And this was an instance where we were trying to protect the winter squash from squash beetle pressure. And that protectant early on in the season actually trapped moisture, which increased a pathogen that then spread throughout our plants. And so now this year we're actually growing a mustard cover crop in that squash area to help fumigate the soil. So constantly experimenting. And then this was just one more piece of the experiment with greens, and then also with some shade cloth. So what we really need and what needs to be invented is this white protectant. And if it were like a gray or a black material, and could help block out UV at the same time as it does the rest of its job, would be what's more ideal. But what we're seeing growers do kind of across the Southwest is try to experiment with both fabrics, because that thing hasn't been invented yet. And so this is something that I was at my cousin's wedding in California a couple of years ago, and I was seeing conventional growers just have huge things of shade cloth, kind of like this larger tunnel that you see, but across giant fields. And so, yeah, it's something that we're constantly working on, is how do we grow efficiently and well, working in the conditions that we have. And then how do we fine tune what we're doing so that the production is really productive and meeting our needs. And then we worked with an extension agent to help aggregate the data. So this is a cool way that we just share data with other farmers, help them determine, is it worth it or not to invest in these different materials. And then these are some projects that we anticipate this year. So I think if I were to back up here and kind of go to the top, this is the scale that we're looking at, is this same, we're within this 3.5 acres. We're probably only going to be growing on 2 acres out of that 3 this year. And so we're scaling back production just a little bit and backing our wholesale accounts down. And part of that is because of the actually the pathogen that I explained in the winter squash. that type of thing happens after a plot has been farmed for 3 years. And so like that's something that I would anticipate if we don't start to rest the land and recover it with cover crops, we're going to see more of that in other areas. So we've gotten there, we're at full scale. We need to start to really be strategic about where we let the land rest so that we start to achieve more of a balance, see fewer pathogens, and really achieve a balance with the pest pressure. We are only really doing the CSA and then a wholesale contract with the Farm to Food Pantry program. And then any town events that Nicole gets on my radar will be at. And then we have our youth program, and the youth program will be doubled. So production staying the same, if anything, backing it down just a little bit, and then doubling the size of the youth program. And so we're finally getting there with most of our infrastructure. Some of you may know that the ditch gets shut off somewhat unexpectedly in either late April or early May. And then in August last year, we had a break in the ditch. And so when we're left without water, we panic. So we're looking for a 10,000 gallon cistern. That's just something I'm trying to spread far and wide so that we can have enough water on site to make it through a few days without water in the ditch. And then we also just need to start thinking about how are we going to have some more shade for our youth program that's both like wind protected and shade protected, somewhere ideally where we can fit 20 teenagers, and then tree stumps. So we hang out under the cottonwood tree that's right there at the entrance to the preserve a lot. And someone last winter snagged our tree stumps, which, we don't have a claim on those, but we do use them. And then these are the events I wanted to get on your radar. So that encompasses what I was hoping to cover today. I would love to answer questions that you have.
Questions, comments?
No comments. Yeah. Hi, Sarah. If you remember Lucas, he participated, my son, on the youth program, and he had such a great experience. They do spend the time to educate the youth, and it'll be great for them to have some shade out there. Lots of sunshine days in the meetings, but I 100% love the program. I think it's a great addition for the town of Silt, and I like everything that Sarah has, foreseen for the near future for high water farms.
Thank you.
Sure.
Nothing for me.
I don't have anything. I don't have any questions. No, I think it's great, and it looks like May 3rd is your public farm tour, and I've never, I've been to the river preserve, but never been to your spot, so I'd love to see the tour.
Yeah, please come out. And if you guys want to, organize, if you want to have a Monday evening meeting there instead of, you're probably not allowed to do that. But yeah, come to that. But also I'm happy to coordinate outside of that and whatever works for you guys.
Yeah, I've got the same thing with Chris. Every year you come and present this project to us, and it's an amazing project, and I love hearing about it. And I'm like, I'm going to go visit high water farms. And I've never been out there, mostly because I'm not a vegetable fan. So
okay.
I do want to try and get out there this year and just see what's going on. So
yeah, come out.
Again, I just want to pass along congratulations just to you on the success of the program, being able to double the youth size and all of that, because it does, I'm sure, really impact some kids that may never have thought about farming or got into that and they can take those skills to other teamwork and all that stuff that they develop into other parts of their lives. So it's really awesome that what you guys are doing out there.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's the thing I always try to explain to people is, we're not trying to train all teenagers to become farmers. We mostly want to be able to provide a platform for them to learn how to work together, be outside, and learn some basic job skills. Thank you. Oh, and while I'm on, can you guys see my screen right now?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I wanted to share, did it shift? Can you see my website? Oh no, it says it's paused.
Nope.
Bud, help. I want to share that screen.
Okay. Let's go back to Zoom.
Do you get paid extra for that, Bud?
No, I don't. It's in vegetables.
He even made dinner tonight.
Vegetables with it?
Oh boy.
It might not work. It's okay. And just one more second. If it doesn't work, we'll give up.
Yeah. Duties is assigned by others.
Yeah.
How about now? Okay, great.
There we go.
Thank you. This is I just wanted to make sure everyone's seen our website. So if you haven't seen our website, please check it out. I think especially right now, our youth program applications are due. So, this is where we try to direct all interested teens ages 14 to 17. It's an online form that's pretty straightforward. It's a Google form. And then, the position details are outlined here on our website with a lot of information. And then the other piece that I'm really pushing is we are working to fill our seasonal team positions. So we have farm crew position. This pays hourly. This is any adult, $16 an hour, full CSA share in eggs, mid-April to October. And then we have 2 AmeriCorps positions and then a youth program lead position. So those are all adult positions that in the past I've had the same, I have slowly acquired the crew that's been working with me, and then have had turnover in terms of our team. Luckily, I still have Becca working with me there, but am looking to fill those positions also. We did just hire a young man for a field lead position. So he has some farm work experience and will be joining us on the farm. You'll meet John if you come out.
All right.
Sorry, back to you guys. Any questions that you have?
No, thank you very much for joining us tonight, even though you're a little bit under the weather. It's just great to hear from you every year. So.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
One thing I'd like to point out, when we met with Sarah a couple of weeks ago, I guess, we talked, Nicole and Trey and I talked about maybe having a work session out there in the spring when it's not hot, but not cold, and maybe touring both Highwater Farm and some of the improvements that have been made out at the preserve. So I think it'd be a good.
Yeah, I'd like
we
that,
could just
yeah.
do an hour and a half out there, and then come back over here for a meeting.
Okay, that would be great.
Sounds good.
Yeah, do it. You should do it.
We'll put it on the calendar.
Yeah, just honestly, let me know the day and time and we'll make it happen.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time.
Good night,
Thank you.
Sarah.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is update from the board and board comments.
Do you want to, was there any more staff, any
Yeah, was there any
questions
more
for the rest of the staff?
Oh, there is.
I do.
All right.
I'll make it quick.
So that's okay.
No, that's all right.
Take your time, we're running
We're
ahead.
ahead of schedule, yeah.
We are. So I put an event calendar, a tentative event calendar for everybody to look at for this year. And I did want to point out and highlight that we did remove the farmer's market for this year as a traditional farmer's market, and we are looking to add vendors to our other events to try to increase attendance. So we would add vendors that would typically attend a farmer's market to all of the movies in the park, and then we added an additional Party at the Pavilion concert, so we would also add vendors to that. So that would, the additional concert would be in lieu of the weekly concerts that we've been doing at the farmers markets. So we're just looking for a little bit of feedback on that.
So we're still doing 7 events where we would have a market instead of 8 standalone, which just didn't get the traffic that we really were trying to get. There's just a lot of competition.
So then would it be like the farmer's market would basically be just all the party pavilions would have space in the back there where they could have to set their stuff?
Yes, and Public Works is currently building a platform along the backside of the fence where previously the town had put electric. And so there's space back there for a food truck or something like that also that would have electric already pulled to it.
No, yeah, it's a good idea. It makes sense.
Yeah,
It makes
nice.
sense. The
Yeah,
farmer markets are hard to do, and everybody has one.
We do.
Yeah.
There's just a lot going on in the summertime.
And then combining those two concepts together makes it good. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll have fireworks at every one of them, right, Nicole?
That's right.
Oh, maybe not. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Mayor loves it.
Okay, so we'll venture down that path for this year and come back together at the end of the year and see if that worked better than what we've done in the past. Perfect. That's all I had.
Nice. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I walked back there and I was wondering why it was filled in, but now I know.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, any other staff members with updates? No? Okay, then we will do board comments real quick. Trustee Preston?
No comments, Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Britnall?
Nothing particular right now.
Trustee Clausen?
Just a couple things. What is the progress on Camarillo? It doesn't look like they're doing a whole lot.
They are not. They're taking a break until it warms up a little bit. If they do any backfilling and continue to, I mean, they are still moving some dirt around, but they can't get the compaction that they need to right now. So they're not going to continue through that process until it warms up a little bit more.
Okay. And I guess, are they doing more than one phase? Because it looks like they've just done work on that lower road, not the upper one.
They were doing the infrastructure in phases, but
Okay,
they're
well,
going to
yeah,
complete
that's what I
all
was
of it within one permit phase.
Oh, okay.
They're just taking what they're considering manageable sections.
Okay, gotcha. So they'll get the whole thing done. It won't be they'll just do, like
Correct.
that lower road and then who knows when
Yeah.
on the okay.
It's
all
all
right.
going to be one.
All right, cool. Thank you. And then the only other, I had one point of clarification on Treasurer Tucker's report. The state of Colorado became a state on August 1st, 1876, not January 1st, but I'll give you some slack because you're from Texas.
Well, I Googled fun facts and that came up, so we can blame the internet.
Oh, no, really?
All right. Trustee Seifert?
I was just want to thank, I went to the mineral lease presentation. I think Nicole and Amy and Sheila and Trey were there. Just wanted to point out we did a good job. We got 2 mini grants and 2 regular grants. I don't remember what the total was on all of them, but
The 2 mini grants were $25,000 apiece, and the traditional grants, one was for $450,000 to go towards the water plant, and the other one was $200,000.
183.
183, and that was for.
The fan press or?
No, that's what we just submitted. Was the
No.
fan press.
Hold on. I will.
On a blank. Grant.
Oh, it's the water tank refurbishment, the Sunrise water tank refurbishment.
That's
for
right.
183.
I just wanted to point that out. I went to the presentation in Glenwood. It was pretty nice. A lot of other places there got grants, but Town of Silt did pretty good. So I just want to thank Trey and whoever worked on those grants for getting us that money.
Okay. Quick update on the Family Dollar. Are they making
They are
progress?
making progress. Yes, I spoke to the general contractor of the tenant finish Friday afternoon, and they have I gave them a deadline of today to get the trailers out of there. And so they got those removed, got everything unloaded, and they are working. They're thinking it's going to be within. They had to disperse their crews right around Christmas time, and so they're pulling everybody back in now. But they think that it'll be done within the next month.
Okay. And then River Trace, the first 2 buildings, we had issues with the stairwell width.
That has all been
Did
corrected.
that get corrected as we move forward? Okay.
We have new plans, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's the only questions I had, so we will move on to the next agenda item. If everyone's ready for this one, the interview for the intern town administrator. It looks like Jim Mann has joined us.
In
Good evening.
person.
If you'd like to jump up here to the table.
Jump onto the hot seat?
Yes. How we doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And I've been instructed that I get to lead this conversation, so feeling pretty good right now.
We're all here to help though, Mayor.
Okay, good, because I need it
Throw
for
you
sure.
a life ray.
I don't know how everyone likes to start an interview, but I like to just have the applicant tell me a little bit about themselves. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, if he does that.
Yeah,
then
that's
we-
fine.
we can do a
That's
few
number
questions
1 on
and-
your list there.
Yeah,
Yeah, perfect.
thank you.
Well, you've known me for a couple of years now.
as your financial advisor. But just really to give you a background, I went to college like a lot of people go to college, and I was going to become a lawyer and I was going to become a politician. Along the way, I got suggested by a professor that I still am in contact with that I should go into public administration. And really, as started to kind of look at where my life would go, moved into the public administration realm, did undergraduate work in public administration and political science, then went on to graduate school in public administration, after which, well, in the middle of the graduate program, I was hired as an assistant village manager in Wisconsin for a community outside of Milwaukee. Spent 4 years there before I moved on to being the first administrator for a community that's a outer ring suburb to the city of Milwaukee, where I spent 7 years as an administrator. And in that time, I like to say that I was an administrator and I was still probably wet behind the ears. Thought I knew an awful lot about a lot of things and learned very quickly that I didn't know a lot about a lot of things, and what I did know didn't always apply directly to working with a community. In my tenure at the village, basically did a huge modernization of the government in terms of bringing them up into more of a modern operation. I can tell you that they've morphed continuously since then. The community, we ended up reconstructing a couple of highways that went right through town, expanded the utilities. I feel your pain because I presided over 110% increase in our water rates when I was the administrator, because they hadn't done anything for so long that when it was time to catch up with all the projects, it cost a lot of money, and it was very painful. Now, I will tell you that in Wisconsin, water bubbles out of the ground, and so it's plentiful, and it's a lot cheaper than it is out here. So 110% increase in Wisconsin is a drop in the bucket compared to 100% increase here in Colorado. I was involved with a number of economic development initiatives in terms of creating tax increment districts, which is the main tool in Wisconsin for economic development. The community itself has when I started, it was just over 3,000 people. By the time I left, it was probably close to about 4,000 people. It's now, I think, close to 6,000 people. So it's a growing community. Did a lot of collaboration with the school district, because as we grew, the school district had to grow as well. And so we spent a lot of time working together to make sure that they could keep up with the growth that we were looking at. Following my tenure at the Village of Slinger, public finance firm decided that they wanted to hire me because I was doing all the work that they were used to getting paid for. I did a lot of strategic planning, financial planning for the community, and got that off the ground. And because I was doing what the financial advisor normally would have done, that's what gave them some interest in hiring me. So I spent the next 24 years being a municipal advisor in Wisconsin, but then in 2018, late 2017, moved out here to Colorado to do the same work and expand operations here in the state. During COVID, they decided to move, the company I work for decided to move in a different direction in terms of their operation here in Colorado, and I chose to stay. They offered for me to go back to Wisconsin, but why would I? It's a lot nicer out here, and even though water's more expensive, There's a lot more fun things to do all year around, and my wife and I had spent a lot of time coming out here to vacation, and we just thought the opportunity, the cost to moving back to Wisconsin just wasn't worth it. And so I stayed, went to work for another financial institution, and then certain bank collapsed and created a bunch of financial problems in the financial industry, and haven't really worked in the financial services since June of last year. So I've enjoyed my early retirement, but I also not ready to be retired. I think I still have an awful lot to offer a community or even a financial services industry position if it were to come along. But I'm not quite ready to be done working. So that's kind of the long history of me.
No, thank you. Yes.
I mean, as you know, at least I'm just going to shoot questions. Everyone else, feel free to jump in here whenever you want to. So, as you know, we're working on a wastewater, or not a wastewater, but a water treatment plant right now. And you said you did some large highway projects, so I'm assuming you worked with the state.
Yes.
Through that whole process.
Yes. So Slinger had 2 state highways that ran through the center of town. They were just 2-lane highways, but both needed to be reconstructed, and so we had to go through the process to reconstruct both of them in successive years. So the community was not very pleased because basically we were torn up for 2 years as they did all these projects. But at the end of the day, it was certainly an improvement in terms of an infrastructure piece, but we had a lot of coordination to do because we had to deal with the storm sewer below, the sewer below, the water utility. The Village of Slinger was also an electric utility, and we chose to, as part of modernizing and working on streetscaping, we chose to bury all the electric lines running through town, which was a major undertaking, but it was part of that vision of how to make the community a better looking place rather than your kind of industrial looking lines going through the community.
Okay. All right.
I guess I got a question. I know you've got other ventures you were doing or maybe are doing now, I don't know, but as far as like if the town of Silt, would that be your priority then? I mean, that would be your...
It would become my main priority.
That's what I'm getting at. So if let's say Monday morning you had a fire in both irons, something the town of Silt, but in your other one, my question is are we going to have 75% or 25% priority, I guess is what...
Currently, I'm a part-time employee for 2 other municipalities or 2 other organizations, and it's a part-time employee, and they know I have other things that I'm doing. But if I were to be the interim administrator, this would be my priority, and all those other things would fall to the back seat, so to speak.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, I'll just go down, answer or ask some of these. In your experience, what are the keys to developing a good team?
Well, number one is you got to hire the right people. And that is sometimes a lot harder than it sounds. But you got to hire the right people. Then you've got to bring them along and nurture them and get them in a position where they have the tools necessary so they can do their job. And that is sometimes one of the more difficult things because with new people coming in, sometimes they have different views of the way an operation should happen compared to maybe the way it happened before. And so there's a process that you have to go through in terms of making sure that everybody's got the tools necessary and the latitude to be able to do what they need to do. And again, the direction comes from you folks as the governing body, and we have to filter it through to get people kind of walking in the same direction and doing what you say needs to be done.
All right, thank you.
What is the most employees you've been in charge of? You realize you're coming here, we've got a pretty good employee pool. What is the biggest employee, I don't know how to put it, I guess, you've been in charge of, I guess, or whatever?
So I ran the office here in Colorado for Ehlers, and I had an office of only 5 people. So it was a small organization. When I was at Slinger, it was a very similar sized organization to what is here in Silt. We probably had 40 employees total, of which a chunk of, well, not including the seasonal summertime recreation employees, but that was pretty much what we ran. You know, I can list off, but we had a full-time police department. We moved to a full-time police department while I was there, and that was the largest department that we had. But then we had Public Works, we had the electric utility, we had the sewer utility. Sewer and water kind of worked in concert. We also had a library and then the recreation department.
Okay, Jim, it's nice to see you in person. What's your philosophy, values, and visions as far as connecting with employees? And the point that I want to make with that is we have a really good relationship with the current administrator, and we see the same feedback from employees. And it's important for me particularly to know this because just like you have mentioned, a new person comes in and some philosophies are changing, some values are changing. How do you feel that your philosophy, values, and vision integrate currently with the board and the employees that we have now?
I have always looked at work as it better be fun or it's not worth doing. And as a young village administrator when I was at Slinger, and including when I operated the financial firm here in Colorado, it was about kind of creating a family environment, in my opinion. I wanted the people to be very comfortable saying what needs to be said, not fearing any retribution. But I wanted the organization to just be comfortable in terms of not, call somebody out in an open setting if you can, absolutely avoid it. These are things, everybody's got pride. We all have pride. And nobody wants to be called out for something that went wrong in front of a peer. And so it's important that you never do anything like that. But if you give the tools to your employees to do their jobs and give them the latitude to do the job as they know how to do it, you're going to get things done and you're not going to have those problems. It's when you've got somebody that's dictatorial, that wants to tell everybody how to do it, when to do it, and what color t-shirt they got to wear that day. That's when things go off the rails. I am not going to tell the police chief how to police. That's not my job. He's the trained professional in that. I'm just the oversight, helping him have the tools so he can do his job. Same thing whether it's the utilities, some of the administrative functions. I'm not, and especially as an interim, I'm not necessarily here to come in and make changes. I'm here to keep things moving, keep some of the initiatives moving that you have on the docket until you choose a permanent replacement for Jeff, so that if they want to make changes, they can make changes without having to undo something that I just changed. So those will be changes that I would make are going to be few and far between.
Okay, that's a very good answer. And in conjunction also with Trustee Seaford's question as far as availability and balancing out between the other professions. So Castle Rock is about 3.5 hours from here, is that right? How far should I ask you?
That's pretty spot on with dry pavement.
Okay, and is it accurate that we have a space here that could potentially be not now available? Is that, sorry, I don't want to, not now.
Don't let the door hit you.
Not now, but now.
We do have a town-owned condominium that would be available for.
It's 2-bedroom.
Okay.
Good point.
You're amazing.
So wrong. Okay.
Don't chase them off, Trey.
Okay, so we would definitely talk about the details,
Mhm.
which this will come, later on, but as we discuss this later amongst ourselves, what would you foresee as far as being here in person? What?
Well, some of that is what your expectations are. It's not me telling you what I'm gonna do. It's you saying, this is your job, this is your interim. This is, if you say, we want somebody here and we want them here 5 days a week, that's your prerogative. That's not my prerogative. I might disagree with it. I might not, and.
You want it to come from us.
But I think as much as anything, you have to tell me what your expectations are going to be for me being on site, how many days a week I'm working, is this a 40-hour-a-week job? Is it a 3-day-a-week job? Am I here, if it's just 3 days, am I here all 3 days? Those are you tell me, and I get, I'll react to that. And I think and I guess it's kind of a hard question, because there may be times where if you say, yeah, I think you probably can be an interim for 3 days a week, there might be some weeks that there's a requirement that it's 5 days a week. You have a major project going on right now that is going to require some hand-holding. You have a couple of key staff people that I understand are leaving. So, there's some upheaval, and, it may be that maybe in the beginning it has to be more hands-on. Maybe later on it can go a different direction. Your process to hire somebody is 3, 6 months, 9 months, depending on, applicant pool and who's available and when, and whether you end up finding the right individual the first time around. I've worked with communities that do second solicitations because they didn't find the right candidate the first time. So it could be a long, drawn-out process, but back to your question, I think you kind of have to tell me what the expectation is.
Yes, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think my expectation at least would be that if anything, I'm a big of under promise, over deliver. So it'd be, or not so much, that's not what I'm looking for that, but like for the time commitment would be to start 5 days a week, especially getting in and getting going. And then after that, some days could be remote or something like that, kind of a hybrid type thing, but starting it off first, more intensive, and then backing off from there, because obviously there's a lot to pick up.
Yep.
There is some people that are leaving, and the big shoes to fill, big shoes for the town they're responsible for a lot of different stuff. And so that would be my expectation, at least. I think it would be more days initially, at least, especially, and then as things go, then it could change some. And then, like you said too, there may be some weeks where there's not a ton going on this week, but like weeks that there's the board meetings, obviously you have to be here.
Right.
Those type of things. So.
Right.
Yeah.
When you worked under the town of Slinger, did you work for a board of directors?
Yep. We had a village board, 7-member board. There was a village president. The village president really was by title only. It was just
See, you got title only.
I know, I've got title only, yeah.
and he was the presiding officer, and he was just one vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, that was my question. I just wanted to make sure, so, okay.
Under the structure now, as far as regulations that we have to comply upon, how much of that is common administrator knowledge, and how much of that comes from staff to keep things as far as knowledge on what those regulations are? It's an open question to either Jeff, Nicole, or is it a combination of your knowledge? Because my follow-up question to Jim would be, what knowledge of those regulations you have in relation to Colorado State when it comes for the town of Silt to comply with them? What resources would you be reaching out to?
I think, from my experience in Colorado, I have a pretty solid understanding of the financial side of things because I was a financial guy. I have a pretty good working understanding of development type issues. When you get into the clerking duties, treasurer duties, some of the more detailed, I'm going to be relying rather heavily on the department heads to help fill in. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't call somebody at the state to clarify something, whether it's DORA, DOLA, any one of the alphabet soup agencies that we would deal with.
And exactly, utilize all the
Yes.
resources.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And your town attorney
Town attorney, another one.
has a lot to say.
And I was just thinking, what comes first? Do you just get presented with a notice of something that someone missed? Or do you, as a town administrator, has a pretty good idea of what you're dealing with and have like a level of balance and expectations? But sounds like it's you looking for resources and then using your town as a huge resource for those upcoming.
And there's also other resources, there are peers, whether it be another town manager, administrator, whether it be another utility individual. It's a group of people that I've always found that is very willing to help others.
It's great.
I guess. All right. As an interim, how important will it be for you to can't even talk. As an interim, how important will it be for you to meet each of our 30 employees and understand how each contributes to the success of this organization?
Based upon the earlier question, I think probably very important, simply because you have an organization that seems to be working very well. And the last thing you need is somebody to come in and upset that apple cart. And so I think it's important, especially in a smaller organization, that everyone knows each other. And, I always operated on an open door policy. It doesn't matter who you are, you can come knock on my door. And if I can't talk to you at that absolute moment, we'll set up a time. Because obviously they have something to say and we'll got to work through it.
How do you feel, we're real big on that here, chain of command. So if the board has some problems with something, we've always went to Jeff and then he's went to the employees. How important is that to you?
I think it's very important. Otherwise, you can run into a situation where you've got
because we've always tried to stay away from running down employees on the street and saying, hey, this is what's wrong, whatever, and they know that. They're really good. We've always went to Jeff, and that's always been our position is chain of command. We go to him. If there's problems, he takes care of it. He does the chewing out. We don't. So.
And I think that's a two-way street to a certain extent, because there has to be that chain of command, but it also has to go the other direction, where you don't have employees running you down on the street and saying, something isn't right, we have to take care of this.
And that's the way it kind of is now too, is if we have a problem, it'll come up at the board meeting or whatever, but they don't come really to us. Pretty much Jeff was pretty much.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, because if you don't have that, you are going to be pulled in many different directions, and you're not going to necessarily know what's what.
Okay, good.
And to piggyback on his, as an interim, do you feel that you'll play a role in the retention of town staff?
Absolutely. I mean, the goal is that I don't, as an interim, that I don't come up and cause anybody to leave. That's the last thing, because you're already trying to recruit for one position. You don't need to be adding to that. So the goal is that I'm not causing anybody else to leave.
Nobody else over there, Trey.
But he keeps looking this way.
Thank you, yes.
I guess, why Silt? What's your interest in being an interim town administrator for the town of Silt?
I've worked with you before. I think I can, I guess the biggest thing is it's kind of an opportunity. It's an opportunity to, help you out in a bigger way than I've been helping out. You have a need. I seem to have some time on my hands right now. And so I think that's partially why. I think Silt's kind of a neat, I like the western slope. I think, even a long time ago, we used to comment with one of the other guys I worked with that the western slope, especially coming down the I-70 corridor, you have great names. Newcastle, Silt, Parachute, Rifle, We joked as we would drive down the highway, how'd you ever come up with the names? Did somebody find a rusty old rifle in the river one day, and that's why rifle is rifle?
One of the theories, yes.
But my relationship with Jeff, we've always talked about the things that we do. I mean, biking, skiing. I do a lot of fishing. All things that are around.
That Silt has to offer.
You have to offer.
All right. And then we've spent quite a bit of time, I would say, actually working with you and you working with the board and you working with members of staff. Do you feel that you have a good working relationship with this board and the staff in town?
I do. I do feel like I have a pretty good working relationship. I think we went through a very difficult process for the water treatment plant. There was nothing really fun about that for you guys in particular because it was tough decision making. I never felt attacked, accused, anything in any of the information that I provided to you, which I think is important. And I think throughout that process, I thought I had a very good relationship with the administrative side too.
One more question. You brought up something about time. Is there a time frame? I mean, even if we start tomorrow, it's going to take a minimum of 3 to 6. It could take up to a year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be a problem? I mean, is there a time when you say, are you telling us I can do it, but I can only do it for 3 months or 6 months, I guess? Or are you willing to stay until? I mean, I hope it doesn't take a year, but I'm just saying, you know how that goes. It could take at least 6 months.
I have several irons in the fire for other positions that are permanent full-time positions. I think that's probably something we have to talk about a little bit more. In terms of a commitment, I'd like to say, yeah, I'd be committed for that 3 to 6 months period, but I also have to be mindful that I need something beyond that too. As I said, I'm not quite ready to no longer be working, although it's really been enjoyable these last several months. I don't think Jeff's going to be bored.
Looking forward. No, you don't get bored when you retire. Trust me. Okay.
But that's a tough question, and I wish I had a better answer for you, and I think it's something to maybe explore, and if you're looking for an absolute commitment for that time frame, I might not be the right guy for you. And just being absolutely honest with you, that if you in this process want to make sure that you've got somebody locked in from now until you hire that administrator, the next administrator, I might not be the right person for it. Because I do have other irons in the fire.
Okay.
And I am, looking. That doesn't mean that, when you put the advertisement out for your next permanent administrator that my name won't be on that list.
That could happen.
I mean, hopefully it's not a year. I mean,
Well, no, and I'm
Jeff
just-
came along pretty quickly.
But he was interim.
Yeah.
For
He was already,
for
Still,
6 years, he was in
pretty,
them.
pretty quickly, yeah.
he was already on board, so, I mean, I've been through that process, and, I mean, even you start advertising tomorrow, by the time you do everything, it's minimum of 3 months.
Do you have experience in grant writing administration?
Some. Not a huge amount. I've worked with community development block grants. We, back in the day, this is ancient history, but we went through, they were COPS grants, and it was for community policing, and we went ahead and nailed down a couple of grants for that. I've done some grant writing outside of municipal work, personal for my wife's business, but, so some experience.
All right, thank you. I guess, how do you handle multiple priorities?
Well, I do know how to juggle. And, the interesting thing about multiple priorities is you have to figure out which one's the most important one along the way and get those done, but you can't neglect the other priorities as well. So you have to be, you have to wear many hats, so to speak, and keep the balls in the air.
All right, thanks.
With the potential of our public works director leaving, as an interim administrator, do you see that as a position you should fill, or should you continue to work with the staff we have until a permanent replacement is found?
Without knowing the organization better, I'm not sure I can answer that question. I think you would have to see, and you might be able to answer the question for yourselves if there was somebody within the current public works staff that could step into a lead role similar to an interim position, and maybe that leads them to be the next public works director. But I think, that's one that I would need to know more about the organization before I could give you a definitive answer.
Okay. Sorry, I like to jot notes down. So.
No worries.
Okay, so initially I had asked a question in relation to connecting with employees and philosophies. Now I would like to turn this a similar question to your engagement with the community. Yeah, we do have a few events coming up. How do you feel about engaging and talking to the community? Would you have like a system in place of how the issues would get to you? If so, what kind of system would that be? How would you like to handle community complaints and the overall connection with the Silt residents?
Well, I think it's extremely important to have a good relationship with the community, because otherwise, what are we doing? And I think there are several different buckets that you have to kind of deal with. You've got to deal with the residents as a bucket, and sometimes those are going to be split into several buckets depending on who they are. You've got the business community, which is another bucket, and then you've kind of got the other agencies that we deal with as another bucket. And that's all, you have to have a relationship with all those folks, and you have to be accessible to them. From a business community standpoint, I think it would be important to, meet with them periodically, so that you can hear how they're doing, what their feelings are before it bubbles up and ends up at a board meeting. You've got to kind of circumvent that. Same thing with the citizenry. Maybe there's some neighborhood, meetings, obviously the events. You get a little worried about the events that you might get accosted, and it gets kind of uncomfortable. I mean, I can tell you one night when I was in Slinger, I went to a neighbor's Christmas party, And I got accosted by another neighbor pretty heavily that night over a decision that the board had made. It was very uncomfortable for a period of time, and even the poor guy that had the party was like, I'm really sorry about that. But hey, this isn't the right time and the place for this. Schedule a meeting and let's talk about it. Come on in, we'll talk through what the issue is and see if we can resolve it. So I think it's very important to have a very good relationship with the community as well, and whether that's through, newsletters, just explaining what's going on in the community, whether it's actual, open houses, meetings, et cetera. Any one of those, and maybe all of them, are important.
Thank you, Jim.
That's all I have.
Well, suppose you discover what you consider to be an area of the town's management that you believe could be improved substantially. As an interim town administrator, would you seek to make improvements? If so, how would you go about making those improvements? Or if not, why not?
I think the answer is a resounding maybe. But I think it's important if it's something operational. Obviously, there's going to be a discussion with you folks because it's a change. I think as an interim, you got to tread a little lightly with making wholesale changes to the organization or administratively, simply because your permanent administrator might see something different than I do. And therefore, if I go in and change something only to have a new administrator come in and change it again, we haven't really accomplished anything except create some confusion. So I think it would have to be something rather dramatic for me to suggest that we're going to make some sort of wholesale change. So that's one I would tread very lightly on. But if it's something big that we discover, maybe. But again, very cautiously move into it.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
So not really town related, but your name is James A. Mann.
Mm-hmm.
But your email is farkelson@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a story behind Farkelson?
So yes, there is. My father played a card game called Sheep's Head. It's a German card game. It's Schopskopf is actually the German name for it. But he got together with a bunch of buddies, played cards usually once a month, and his card-playing nickname was Farkel. I'm his son. A long time ago, somebody told me that you should never use your own name in an email address. So I came up with Farkelson.
There we go.
That's the story.
I like it.
That's a good story. That's good.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Nope.
Any further
Good
questions?
for me.
I guess I would.
He's answered pretty much all my questions.
We do have a couple members of staff here with us. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns that you would like to address with Jim while he's here?
I do not. I have actually not met you, so. it's
I
nice
haven't
to
met
meet
you either, so.
So I don't have any experience working with Jim, but I appreciate you being here tonight.
All right.
I don't have any questions. I've worked with him obviously through the water plant and have had no issues with him and been able to work through everything we've tried to come up with. I think probably Amy and I, besides Jeff, have probably worked with Jim more than anybody else just because of the water plant.
Okay.
And it all went smooth. And he put up with me and Amy being brothers and sisters, like Sheila said. So.
Sheila or Amy, do you have anything you'd like to address?
I would welcome him to the team.
I would as well. I think he's already got a good insight of what Silt's about, and he could hit the ground running a lot easier than someone who has no idea what we are about.
Okay. Are there any other staff members still on the meeting with us that would like to comment?
Is the police chief listening?
The lieutenant is on, but the chief is not.
Does the lieutenant have any questions?
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, I do back him. I think he has a lot of experience and brings a lot to the table, and I think he would be great for the town of Silt.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I just one last question. You're a very numbers-oriented guy. Factual data kind of is, the personality that I get. How are you with thinking outside the box? Unique ideas.
Depends on the box. Sometimes I can be very unique, and other times not so much. And I am a numbers-oriented individual, and I will freely admit that my least probably competent subject is human resources. That's just not my forte.
Okay.
Because I'm a numbers-oriented individual.
Yeah. And HR does not follow.
HR doesn't quite fall into that box.
Follow that category at all, yeah.
But I do have a wife who was a former HR professional, so she keeps me in check.
There you go.
I see a little side of you, like with the openness to expanding that side. And that's what life is all about, just growing, expanding. And I think if you open yourself up for it too, I think there is a good synergy between the acceptance of a lot of people potentially, and with your openness of working with us all, and just feel a comfort level that you can expand in the area, let's call it human resources, as you're talking about, and then extending that to connections with not only the board, the staff, but also to community members on a humane level that's just not necessarily directed to numbers. But I see that willingness from you, just by saying the truth. Hey, that's where I'm at, that's what I have. But I see in your eyes that, that could potentially happen as an extension for your next stage in life, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're a numbers guy, but how are you with Jeff's favorite subject, budgets?
I've been doing budgets my entire career. At Slinger, starting out at Brown Deer, I was responsible for putting the budget together for the village manager. So I did first blush of the budget, gave it to him, and then he finished it. When I got to Slinger, I introduced comprehensive planning, long-range financial planning, and it was, as a wet behind the ear administrator, it was shocking how close the numbers were when we would go back and look. Okay, 5 years ago we said this is where we were going to be, and that's where we were. It may have been blind luck, but that's, I've been doing long-range budgeting, capital planning, et cetera, my entire career. So I'm very comfortable. They're numbers.
They're numbers, nice.
They're
Thank
numbers.
All right.
You got most of it covered. That's on the little outline here, and some extra stuff thrown in was important, so.
Does our town administrator have anything they'd like to add to the conversation?
I wrote all mine down for you, so you got it all. And Jim said he would start those budget work sessions probably sometime in March, I think. So you can have that to look forward to.
I did? Good.
Well, my favorite subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I have any further questions. Is there anything else you'd like to?
No, I think we kind of covered in one of the, what the expectations are. And, I think, starting out, hands-on here more than not, and then maybe backing off a little bit as we go. I think that was a key. Obviously, if I'm over here, I'd certainly, love to bunk with Jeff and, hang out in the condo, I guess.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Back and forth every day would not be productive.
Yeah, no, it would not, but, I'll get Jeff to take me biking so that he can make me feel really out of shape again. Yeah.
Then Jeff's got to be here a little bit past March 15th, because it's not quite biking weather.
Well, today might have been.
It's pretty nice out
Today
there.
was nice.
Yeah, there's been a few nice days, yeah.
Sure.
It was nice on the mountain, too.
Was it nice? Yeah, I don't think I have any
I don't have anything else.
further discussion. So I think from here, we'll do an executive session, come up with a plan. I guess how soon would you be able to start?
I can start at your leisure. I do have certain things that I have committed to. I have a trip back to Wisconsin for my daughter's birthday, and I have a trip in May, kind of a vacation. And I, might try to convince you to let me go turkey hunting.
Okay.
That didn't take much convincing for me to say the word hunting, so.
Did you get license for all of it?
Yeah. Are we all going hunting? Yeah.
Well, if you want to drive back to Wisconsin with me, where the turkeys are plentiful.
Okay.
That they are.
They are, all right. Okay, well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
joining us
Appreciate your
tonight.
time. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll have our discussion come out of that, and either way, we will have contact with you
All right.
to let you know our decision. So,
Sounds good.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. A little old from skiing today.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. I'll give you a holler tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Good night.
Good
Good night.
In the meeting. No, I mean, on Zoom.
Okay.
Jeff, who all would you like me to add to the breakout room, or would you just like it to be Chambers and the attorney?
I'm gonna say, I think I would like to have just the attorney and Ward.
Okay.
Would we like Jeff to be part of that?
Yeah.
It's up to you. I don't care either way.
I think I can go either way. I think it'll be good for long-term planning if he's part of the discussion.
That's all right. I think it would be, because for long-term stuff, it'd
Okay.
be good to have him in.
Okay. All right.
I'll stay.
Okay, thank you. I do need to, we do need to make that motion in the open meeting before we go into that one, so I will read that portion. All right, so, I move to go into executive session for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators under CRS section 24-6 1024E in regards to the interim town administrator.
I'll second.
All right, motion by the mayor to enter into executive session, seconded by trustee Clausen. All is in favor?
Aye.
All is opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll take a 5-minute break here to get all set up. Can you hear us, Sheila?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The time is 9:56 p.m. and the executive session has concluded. No formal action was taken in the executive session. The participants in the executive session were no one entered the executive session and no one left the executive session. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violations of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record.
None? No?
None.
Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is, if someone would like to make a motion to direct staff to negotiate with Jim Mann for the interim administration position.
I'll make a motion that we direct staff to work with making Jim Mann a proposal or direction on his temporary interim position.
I'll second.
Motion by trustee Seifert to direct staff to begin negotiations with Jim Mann for the interim administration position. Seconded by trustee Clausen. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And the next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by trustee Seifert to adjourn, seconded by trustee Brittenall. All is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously.